Well, it's that time, Sam. It's the Daily Three, one of my favorites. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each question. Take it away, Sam.
Game 2, Wild and Blues tonight. The announcement has already been made. Marc-Andre Fleury will get the start again in net over Cam Talbot. So they're going back to Fleury to try to get them back in this series. Ron, let's get a prediction. Can the Wild bounce back or do the Blues go up 2-0?
So I was able to talk to Jordan Leopold today a little bit. I also was with Nate Prosser this morning. I think the Wild can get it done. I'm debating if I'm going to the game or not. Got to figure out the kid situation. But I think it would be a great atmosphere for me to experience. For that being my first Wild game, that's probably the best atmosphere ever. So I might be a little spoiled if I do go to a game like this, of this magnitude. But I definitely do agree that so this is what Nate Prosser said. He said the rebounding that happened where the putback goes. He said it's up to everybody, but he said the defensemen have to lay their bodies on the line. They have to clean the house out. They have to get guys. If they're in the blue area with the guys, the other team, their forwards, he said get their sticks high. So they have to get their sticks under, lift them up. If the sticks are up, nobody can shoot a goal with their sticks off the ice. And he said he just didn't see. He said you look at the Blues; those guys were laying down when shots were being hurled at the goaltender. They're putting their bodies on the line. Basically, he said these guys got to ratchet the energy up. He said some of the fighting has to get ratcheted up. He said there was some pushing and shoving, but there wasn't any real like bullying or like physical plays. Like they have to turn up the physical play. And so hearing him say that. That's not hard to do. He equated the rebounds to basketball. Same thing. You box a guy out. You have to get in there first, box him out, get space, clear out that area. Keep it clear so that when your goaltender doesn't have anything in his way, he can clearly see the shot on goal. He can stop it. And that's what he said was not happening. So I'm gonna go with him on that. I think the Wild can tie it up 1-1. It's tough to win 2 games in a row, especially on the road. Again, the Wild got to sleep in their beds. They got to be around their families. They did not have to travel, where St. Louis has been on the road. So that hotel room gets a little bit smaller every time you go back in there, and a little bit more like, I can't wait to get back to St. Louis. And then the Wild can put the pressure on them. 1-1 going to St. Louis is back to 0-0 basically. So now whoever wins the next game, pressure's back on another team. And if you can steal one in St. Louis and you're up or you're tie 1-1, you can get up 2-1. So I'm not gonna, I was a little down this morning and just said the series is over. It's not over yet. I think the Wild have a chance.
Yeah, if this Wild team is what we think they are, which is really good, they will win this game. And I would prescribe the following, Ron, and this is controversial. I would like the Wild to not go on a power play for a long time in this game. I just think they're better 5-on-5 than they are in the power play.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're 10 minutes into the game and they're 0 for 2 on the power play, I think that affects their confidence. I think it gives the Blues extra confidence. I think it gets the fans a little bit depressed. I would rather see them just skate 5-on-5 for a full period and sort of do what they do best tonight. So I know they can't control it if they get, hacked across the back with someone's stick and have to go on the power play, but I kind of don't want them to. So that's my controversial hot take.
So you want 2 in the penalty box?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me a 5-on-3. All right. Miguel Sano, the Twins slugger, is out indefinitely. Meniscus surgery. This comes at a time when he was hitting 5 of 54 to start the season. That is an .093 batting average. Sano is potentially a free agent after this season. Could he be done as a Minnesota Twin?
Yes. Yeah. This is one thing about meniscus. I had that before. Baseball, I don't think is as much pounding as football. And as much cutting, like you can kind of control depending on which knee. I guess I don't know which knee it is. And so if you look at left knee, so he injured his left knee. So left knee, technically running the bases, you're pushing off your right. I mean, you do have to use your left to come back sometimes, but you're pushing off your right unless you're stealing, and I don't really see him doing that. But like running around, you're always pushing off that right foot around the bases. So you can kind of like come back sooner. I think a lot of people say sometimes 6 weeks for meniscus, depending on how bad it's, what happens in there. Like, is it ripping up cartilage, whatever it might be. So I think that's going to be questionable. And then it's all about pain management. Once you come back, can you handle the pain? Because there's going to be some swelling, inflammation you got to deal with. But yeah, I think the way he's batting 5 for 54, that's horrible. And when you look at everybody else, not everybody else, mainly Carrera, you look at him in Buxton and what they're doing and just the energy this team's bringing. Like we brought up, they beat the Orioles, and so they have 2 more, which they probably win those 2 most likely. The next, like I said, 28 games. So now we're down to 27 games. I mean, I'm not going to get too bullish on them, but I do feel like 20 wins out of 28 is not unheard of for this team. So if they get that done with Sano, rehab in the next 6 to 7 weeks, and they pull off some 20-8 record, why change the chemistry? Just move on the next year. I think Minnesota fans and Minnesota sports teams sometimes hold on to guys too long because of the emotional tie to that player. It is a Minnesota nice, even in the front office sometimes, where fans get upset when they get rid of somebody that's been here that they've kind of got, found a way to love, and it comes back to bite them. So yeah, I that could be the end of it for him.
Yeah, I think it very well could be. I mean, if he does get healthy again, I wouldn't be opposed to trying to get him hitting a little bit and then trading him at the deadline, get a little bit of value for him, because if he is going to be a free agent, he's got a club option for next year. I think that's the kind of player that if you can kind of sell him while the stock is high after he's hit some home runs, you might get something nice in return, maybe a nice pitcher, bullpen arm or something like that. So that's kind of the way I would approach it. But I don't think he has a future with this team.
Yeah.
Last one. DeAndre Hopkins suspended 6 games for PED use with the Arizona Cardinals. That's a pretty good chunk of their season, and they struggled a lot last year without him when he was out with an injury. So how does this affect your view on the Cardinals, Ron?
It doesn't affect it much. Now, there's the one thing about DeAndre Hopkins. He's one of the top, 5 receivers, in my opinion, in this league. He's had stretches where he's just been absolutely great. You look at the receivers, though, on this roster, and this is the thing. They knew this was coming. You don't trade for Brown if you don't know something's coming down the pike. So whether it was like a sample test got sent out and then it got flagged and they were alerted to it and then they had time to, whether it's, hey, you got to come back for another test, or, hey, do you want to fight this? Or, hey, yep, my bad, my trainer gave me something I didn't know about. Or, man, I knew I was taking it. I just hope I didn't get caught. Whatever it might be, they now have Marquise Brown. They also, as far as top names, you have AJ Green, who's getting up there, his 12th year out of Georgia. You got what's his name? Rondale Moore, kid out of Purdue, had a great, season last year, or good season last year. A lot of contribution in some of the things they do. But what you don't have is what DeAndre Hopkins gives you. It's a guy that he's 80-20 on jump balls because of the size of his hands, his athleticism, his leadership, his swagger. He's a guy that doesn't talk much. He goes out there and puts it on the field and just, absolutely battles. And so the good thing, at least they know going into this offseason what they don't have. And so I think that gives Kyler Murray and Brown a chance to gel before DeAndre Hopkins is back. And then once he's back, honestly, not to say they can rattle off, 11 games if they happen to lose 6 or they lose 4 out of 6 or something early on. The thing about the NFL is about that October, November, October, November, December, so that first 6, that September and then early October games, hey, you might chalk it up. Every team's not great. It's all about, like Audra Martin brought up a great, point when she said on the show yesterday about the GPA, or, the team winning percentage. It's great to get out early. So if you falter, what the Cardinals are going to find out, if they falter early, they have no room for mistakes down the road. And I think that's the only thing really is going to happen with no DeAndre Hopkins. But I think, not say they'll be fine, but I think now they have enough time. Cliff Kingsbury is going to be able to create an offense around the new pieces, and then without DeAndre Hopkins.
They're still going to be really fast with Hollywood Brown and Rondale Moore.
Yep.
And Kyler Murray to add to it. They're going to be speedy. So I still wouldn't want to face that offense. But in the red zone, to have someone sure-handed like Hopkins, I mean, they'll definitely miss him. But, yeah, I think that they can still tread water for 6 games, at least go 3-3 while he's out.
It's crazy. AJ Brown, AJ Green is that old, and he's not old, but like to me, I'm like, I remember when he was a baby. So it's like now all of a sudden this is 13, his 12th year. I'm like, man, Like, this dude's been doing this for 12, 13 years. That made me feel old even just looking at that when I was researching the question. But you're right. Hollywood Brown left the Ravens for a reason. He wanted to be in a spread, throw it deep offense, a high attacking, high velocity, high speed offense. And now he has it with the Arizona Cardinals. So they're still going to be a formidable, scary team. But honestly, I wouldn't mind getting them early before DeAndre Hopkins. If they can get the Cardinals like last year early on before Hopkins is back, hey, I'll take it, because AJ Green with Brown now and Rondale Moore, that's a scary team. And Kyler Murray already adds a little fear to it with his running ability. But yeah, no, I'd be okay, because I know London, that was announced. We'll talk about that tomorrow. London Vikings, I already kind of speculated before. It is true. They will be playing the Saints in London. October 2nd, I think, is the date. So, I wouldn't mind an early, since they're going to get London. Hey, give them some of these hard games early before teams get going, since you're forcing them to have to go over to London.